The sky over the world of Talrus burned in colors that no one had words for. It was not the warm light of sunrise, but the glow of destruction, drifting across the atmosphere. Cities that once stood proud as monuments of culture now lay broken and silent. The once mighty fleets of the Coalition drifted as wrecks between the stars. Hope had become a word spoken only in memory. For centuries, the Coalition had ruled the edge of the spiral arm. Dozens of species worked together in uneasy peace. They built great stations, traded knowledge, and believed their unity would last forever. That illusion shattered when the Devourers came. They were machines built for war, but guided by a hunger that no reason could satisfy. No fleet stopped them. No weapon slowed them. They moved from system to system, stripping every world of life and metal. The Coalition leaders had sent plea after plea to any power that would listen. None answered. The last of the Coalition forces gathered above Talrus. It was not a strategy, but an act of despair. Commanders argued in hollow voices about retreat lines and evacuation schedules. But everyone knew there was nowhere left to go. The Devourers had broken through the final defense grid. The countdown to extinction had begun. Captain Allen stood on the bridge of his carrier and stared at the tactical display. Thousands of red marks filled the space before them, each a machine of death. His crew waited for an order that he could not give. He thought of the families hidden below in bunkers, of children who still believed someone would save them. He did not believe it himself. Then the signal arrived. It was a faint pulse cutting through the static of destroyed relays. A new contact entered the system, one the sensors did not recognize. At first they thought it was more of the enemy, but the energy signature was wrong. The ship was smaller than any Coalition cruiser, but its core burned with impossible density. Allen ordered magnification. The display filled with an image of a sleek gray vessel marked with blue lights along its hull. The symbol on its side was strange, a circle surrounding a small cluster of stars. The ship broadcast a single message: "Stand by." No one knew what that meant. Before they could respond, the unknown vessel accelerated toward the Devourer line. The acceleration broke every known limit of physics used by Coalition drives. The small craft passed through the first wave of enemy ships, and each one exploded in silence, their forms shattering as if torn from within. The bridge fell silent. Allen watched in disbelief as the stranger alone dismantled a swarm that had destroyed whole fleets. More ships appeared behind it, dozens then hundreds, each bearing the same symbol. They formed ranks like disciplined soldiers. The voice returned on every channel. "This is the United Earth Expeditionary Command. We received your distress signal. Hold position." The name meant nothing to most of the crew. To a few scholars, it was a whisper from ancient archives. The name of a species once believed extinct or withdrawn from galactic affairs. Humans. They had been a minor power long ago, traders and explorers who vanished after some inner war. Their disappearance had been one more mystery among the stars. Now they were back. The Devourers turned to face the new arrivals. Mathematical logic drove them to evaluate this threat. They calculated trajectories and probabilities and found nothing worth fearing. That was their first mistake. Human ships did not move like others. They folded in and out of space in patterns no Coalition scientist had imagined. When they struck, their weapons were not beams or projectiles, but bursts of focused gravity that crushed the enemy hulls into dust. In minutes, the impossible had happened. A war that had erased entire civilizations met its first defeat. On the surface of Talrus, refugees looked to the sky and saw the burning arcs of battle. They had been told that hope was gone. Yet above them, streaks of blue light cut through the darkness. The roar of human engines became a hymn of survival. The Coalition command sent frantic messages demanding identification and explanation. The humans responded with calm precision. They shared coordinates for evacuation corridors and repair zones. Their fleet reorganized what was left of the Coalition forces with effortless authority. Every command was short, clear, and carried an assurance that had been missing for generations. Admiral Ryan of the Coalition met the human commander through holographic link. The man appeared plain, his uniform simple, his expression unreadable. Ryan asked why they had come. The answer was quiet: "Because you asked for help, and because no one else would come." The simplicity of that statement carried more weight than any speech. Ryan had seen empires fall under long debates and prideful councils. Humans had not argued. They had acted. The first campaign ended within days. The Devourer fleet retreated for the first time in its existence. Coalition scientists tried to study human weapons but could not understand them. Their energy readings defied measurement. The humans offered no explanation. They only said, "We learned how to fight when we had no other choice." The reconstruction began under human supervision. They rebuilt orbital platforms, reinforced planetary shields, and shared food with the starving. Their efficiency seemed almost unnatural. One human engineer repaired in an hour what a coalition team could not finish in a week. They never boasted about it. They simply worked until the job was done. Whispers spread across the recovering worlds. Who were these beings that turned despair into victory? Some said they were machines themselves, forged from their own wars. Others believed they had mastered something deeper, a unity of purpose that no council could reproduce. All that was certain was that when humans arrived, order followed. But the humans did not stay long. When the Devourers regrouped at the edge of the arm, the human fleet prepared to move again. They invited coalition forces to join them, but none dared. The coalition leaders pleaded for them to remain, to protect the restored worlds. The human commander replied, "Hope cannot live behind walls. It must be carried forward." The fleet vanished into the dark between stars. For weeks there was silence. Then reports arrived of Devourer worlds destroyed, of machine forges reduced to lifeless moons. No coalition spy ever saw the battles, but the results were undeniable. Wherever humans went, the enemy ceased to exist. The tide of extinction turned backward. Generations later, tales of that war became legend. Children learned about the day humans came when all hope was lost. Statues were raised in every city depicting faceless soldiers standing beneath the circle and stars emblem. None knew the names of those who fought. They did not need to. What mattered was that they came when no one else would. 1 century after the last Devourer's signal faded, a faint transmission reached Talris again. It was human in origin. The message contained no demands, no promises, only 3 words. "Hold the line." The coalition interpreted it as a warning. They strengthened defenses, expanded fleets, and built monuments of vigilance. Yet deep within every heart there was a quiet understanding. The humans were still out there. They were not gods, not saviors, but something more terrifying to their enemies and more comforting to their allies. They were the living proof that courage was stronger than fear. Stories told by veterans said that humans had once nearly destroyed themselves in wars of pride. When they emerged again, they carried the memory of that self-made apocalypse. It was what made them impossible to intimidate. They had already faced their own extinction and refused to vanish. So when they faced the machines, they fought with the calm of those who had nothing left to lose and everything left to protect. The new coalition navy adopted human tactics as best it could. Their officers studied battle recordings, trying to copy movements and formations. Yet none could truly replicate the instinct that guided human pilots. They did not follow patterns but created them in real time. It was said that a human fighter did not think of survival, but of completion of the mission. That focus made them unstoppable. Decades later, a new threat rose from another quadrant. A swarm of bioengineered creatures devoured colonies along the frontier. The coalition prepared for another hopeless war. Every broadcast they sent ended with the same plea sent long ago. To the void, they whispered the same call for aid. For months there was no reply. Then the stars shifted. Out of the dark came ships bearing the same blue lights. The same emblem glowed across their hulls. The same calm voice spoke once more. "Stand by." No cheer was loud enough to describe that moment. Across countless worlds, refugees and soldiers wept. They knew what followed that message. The humans had returned again. They did not ask for thanks. They did not claim dominion. They came because it was right. They fought beside those who could not fight alone. And when victory was won, they left the same way they had come, quietly and with purpose. To this day, no one knows where the humans dwell. Some believe they built cities beyond the galactic rim, guarding the void. Others think they wander forever, answering calls of distress wherever they echo. But every sentient being knows one truth taught by history. When the darkness rises and hope falls silent, the humans will come. And when they do, the stars themselves seem to burn brighter. For what makes humanity feared by their enemies is not their power, but their refusal to surrender. They do not yield to despair. They do not turn away from suffering. They carry the memory of their own broken world and turn it into strength for others. Where others see endings, they see beginnings waiting to be reborn.